All right, let's talk about something huge that's happening right now. We're going to dive into a massive cultural shift in how young Indians are thinking about love and relationships. Seriously, it's this big move away from clear labels and into something, well, a lot more confusing.
In this quote, it just nails it. More than a hookup, less than a relationship. I mean, that is the perfect definition of this gray area we're talking about. It's this whole new type of connection that you'll see is becoming super common.
So what is a situationship, really? Well, basically, it's a romantic thing that's totally undefined on purpose. It's commitment-free, label-free. It just kind of exists. Think about it. There's none of that dreaded, "so what are we?" talk. There's no clear future. It's all about living in this weird, unspoken, in-the-moment space.
And look, I want to be super clear here. This isn't just some niche trend you see in a funny meme. Nope. For a whole generation, Gen Z, the situationship is becoming a totally valid, legit way to handle the dating scene. It's a real thing.
Okay, let's get into the numbers, because they're pretty wild. A Tinder report from 2022 found a 49%, 49% increase in people adding situationship to their profiles. That's a massive, massive jump.
And it's not just about wanting to keep things casual. Get this. A Bumble study in India found that a whopping 73% of Gen Z folks are straight up not ready for a committed relationship. So, what is going on here? What's behind this whole movement?
Well, the first big reason, and it's a really human one, is a deep, deep fear of getting hurt.
And this isn't just happening in India. This feeling is global. This headline from an article in Indonesia puts it perfectly. The key takeaway is this. This generation isn't anti-love. Not at all. They're just terrified of the pain that can come with it.
So where does a fear like that even come from? Well, it seems to stem from a few key places. For a lot of people, it's what they saw growing up, maybe witnessing their parents fighting, or even going through a tough divorce. And when you see that, you start to connect long-term commitment with pain. You throw in your own past heartbreaks on top of that, and suddenly, putting up walls just feels like the smart thing to do, right? It's self-protection.
And this quote, this one really hits hard. A consultant psychologist, Dr. Drisha Dai, says, "No other generation has been this pervasively connected, and no other generation has been this extensively lonely." Just think about that for a second. It's a huge paradox, right? They're the most connected generation ever online, but they're also the loneliest. It's like all that time on screens hasn't really taught them how to build those deep, lasting connections in the real world.
And hey, this isn't just a bunch of theories we're throwing around. There's actual science to back this up. For instance, a recent 2024 study out of Bangalore dug right into the psychology of young adults and their relationships.
And what they found is fascinating. Basically, the study showed a really strong link between social anxiety and a fear of intimacy. Let me break that down. The more social anxiety a person has, the more they're afraid of getting close to someone else. It's a direct connection, and it goes a long way in explaining why so many people are avoiding those committed, vulnerable relationships.
Okay, so we've got the emotional side of things covered. But that's only half the story. There's another huge factor that's shaping all of these decisions, and that's money.
Yeah, they're actually calling this the romance recession, and you can see why right here. On one hand, you have what Gen Z is actually worried about, the insane cost of living, paying rent, dealing with student debt, and on the other hand, things like dating and romance, which, let's be real, get pushed way down the priority list when just getting by feels so expensive.
And the numbers here are just, wow. A Bank of America report found that 54% of Gen Z women and 53% of the men spend $0 on dating a month. Zero! When money's tight, it's pretty clear that dating is one of the very first things to get cut from the budget.
So, okay, we've got the fear of getting hurt, and we've got serious money pressure. But what if this entire way of thinking, this avoidance of commitment, what if it's bleeding into other parts of life?
Well, turns out it is. This whole commitment-light mindset, it's showing up at the office now, too.
Which brings us to our next big idea, the workplace situationship.
Okay, check this out, because the parallels here are wild. Think of a traditional job, like a long-term, committed relationship, right? You're on the payroll, you get benefits, you feel stable. But the new model, it's a total situationship. You're a consultant, you're on a contract, there's minimal commitment, probably no benefits, and everyone knows it could end at any moment.
And this isn't just a feeling, it's a reality. Just look at these layoff numbers in India. Over 24,000 jobs in tech, gone, in a single year. When your career feels that unstable, is it really any surprise that you'd be a little hesitant to make a big long-term commitment in your love life?
So we've looked at all the whys, the emotional fears, the money stress, the job insecurity. But what's the actual price of living in this gray area? What's the cost of always wondering, what are we?
You know, it might sound easy and low pressure at first, but living without clarity can take a real toll. We're talking about constant anxiety, the frustration of trying to read mixed signals. It can really mess with your self-esteem, making you feel like you're not good enough for something real. And the worst part? When it's over, there's usually no real closure. It just fizzles out.
But, and this is really important, we have to look at the flip side. For some people, this is genuinely liberating. Like this quote from Prashant Mira. He said that without all the pressure and expectations, he was able to have a deeper, more real connection. So for some, this ambiguity isn't a problem to be solved, it's the whole point.
And that really brings us to the big final question, doesn't it? In a world that feels so unstable, is avoiding commitment a smart survival strategy? Or is it actually a barrier, something that's stopping an entire generation from finding the kind of deep, secure love we all crave? Honestly, there's no easy answer here, and it's a question a whole generation is wrestling with right now.